Last week on Saturday in America, we brought you a report from the Massachusetts State Auditor's Office revealing widespread fraud within many public assistance programs. That report showed nearly $12 million in fraud identified in fiscal year 2025 alone. The state's auditor, Diana DiZoglio, says these findings underscore the need for greater oversight, something she's trying to do right now with the state legislature. Now, DiZoglio says she notified the state legislature earlier this year about a performance audit. The House and Senate leadership refused to produce necessary documents, and the Attorney General, she says, refused to step in. And now DiZoglio is filing a complaint with the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court seeking to enforce a 2024 voter-approved law approved by 72% of voters. And that authorized audits just like that. Now, according to the auditor, this isn't a partisan issue.
72% of the general public, the voting population in the state, went out and said that they want increased transparency and accountability via this office conducting an audit of the state legislature.
With me now, Massachusetts State Auditor Diana DiZoglio. And by the way, we have reached out to the Attorney General's office for comment as well. You know, Diana, you were a former member of the House, a former member of the Senate, and you are a Democrat. And you are suing former colleagues, you are suing members of your own party. And I'm wondering, why do you think they're dragging their feet?
You know, I think that that's what everybody wants to know, right? What are they hiding? If there's nothing to hide, open up the doors, let the sun shine in. Let's do this audit, right? This is something that 72% of voters came out to support, crossing party lines. You had progressive Democrats joining together with conservative Republicans and essentially saying that they want this audit to get done. This is about transparency and accountability. This is not about whether you support the right or the left. This is about coming together and getting access to documents that should be a matter of public record. But Kayleigh, actually here in Massachusetts, we are the only state in the nation that unfortunately has a legislature, governor's office, and court system that exempt themselves from the state's public records law. So this audit has been viewed by many as simply a way to get access into the inner workings of the legislature, namely getting access to basic financial receipts and taxpayer-funded records such as state contracts.
72%, I mean, that's a massive mandate to do exactly what you're doing. You're just trying to do your job. I'm curious, this fraud that you found, the $12 million total in fraud in 1 year, do other states conduct audits like this?
You know, so it's my understanding that, yes, many other states have state auditors, they have inspector generals, and they do this type of oversight. We in Massachusetts do this work as well. We do it, you know, in my office from the state's perspective, overseeing state resources, state grants, and different state funding opportunities. The U.S. Attorney here has also done some work pertaining to fraud, rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, looking at those federal issues, having a little bit more investigatory authority than my office has. But look, we're just trying to make sure that there's integrity in these systems. I'm someone who was born to a 17-year-old single mother, grew up housing insecure. My mother relied on WIC, Women, Infants, and Children. She put herself through school. She became a nurse, and we were able to move forward and support ourselves and become tax-paying residents of the Commonwealth. A lot of people rely on these programs, but folks who are committing fraud need to be held accountable. We need to root out that waste and fraud and abuse so that these systems are working as they should and people truly in need get these services. But, you know, this is not the biggest issue in Massachusetts when it comes to those programs being abused right now. What is happening is our most powerful politicians here in the state of Massachusetts are turning back at their own voters, at their own electorate, and they're saying that the law doesn't apply to them. That is unacceptable. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, the law is the law. And people of Massachusetts, they just want to know how their tax dollars are being spent. This was something that the Democratic Party of Massachusetts endorsed, and the Massachusetts GOP also endorsed. And now we have a handful of powerful politicians who, you know, think that they're above this law, just sticking it to the taxpayers and saying they're not going to comply. So I am taking this issue to the Supreme Judicial Court. I hope that the courts side with the people of Massachusetts and not the politicians. The Constitution is there to protect the people, not the politicians.
Diana, we are going to follow this very closely, and it takes a lot of courage to come and bring an issue like this out when it's members of your own party, and you've done that, and you've stood with the 72% of voters. So we're going to follow this. We're following your case. Diana, thank you for being here.